How am I live? I was trying just to retake my photo because I didn't like the photo it took, but somehow I am live now. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Anyway, so I'm putting a notice up on Twitter. I have some distinct things to talk about today. My name is Suzanne Titkemeyer. I wrote for Patheos for nearly 10 years. Unfortunately, I was slightly involved with a certain without a box of Kleenex. I don't want to talk about her today. She's rather dull. But I do have a couple things I need, some housekeeping. So, like I said, don't threaten me with a good time. Um, if you're going to send me threats because I said that I wanted to talk to Todd Chrisley, know that I'm just going to block your ass. I'm going to block you and I am going to report you. That's it. That's the only action you're going to get out of me. Hey, Irish. That's it. Hey, Lisa, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I haven't been able to wear this necklace. I've had nothing to wear with it until I finally bought new clothes in the States because everything I had here had a hole in it. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say if you're going to threaten me, if you're going to say, snitches get stitches, and I hope somebody gets you, I'm going to report you and block you. So now that that's out of the way, and that was because I said I wanted to speak to Todd Chrisley in this deal. Now, why did I want to talk to Todd Chrisley? Because of what I learned during the Tati Westbrook lawsuit. When the Tati thing was first going on, just Jeanette. When the Tati thing was just going on, I was going to stay out of it. I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to say even newer. If they came to me and said, hey, I was going to say no comment, no comment, because I just didn't really want to be involved. And something happened. The thing that happened was pretty crazy. The thing that happened was Emily D. Baker did a live in which she did not mention me by name, but she said if Michael Saltz, Tati's attorney, has any brains, he will force KJ's former co-worker to testify, do a deposition. And I was kind of upset when I heard that because, first of all, I planned on staying out. I had no intention of ever having anything to do with any of this. And second, I didn't think that anything I had to say was of any import. The most I could do was give back history on Patheos. And at the time, I was unaware, I hadn't remembered until later that some of what was said actually took place on Patheos. And I did have some slight knowledge of it. So anyway, long story short, because of what Emily D. Baker said, I did not want to get hit with a hostile request for a deposition or anything like that, particularly since I didn't think anything I had to say had any kind of evidentiary value. So at that point, I approached Michael Saltz and said, hey, yeah, I worked with her at Patheos. I know her pretty well. We had a falling out. I don't know that anything I have to say is going to be helpful, but you can talk to me at any point. Well, what happened was he never ended up doing a deposition or talking or anything like that. We kept setting up times and dates, and it just didn't work out for him, for me, for anything else. And then the Nat Kennett thing happened, and the Lori Ann Barnhart deposition happened, and everything went haywire. Thanks, Sandra. Everything went haywire. So there was that. Exactly, Lisa. So yesterday, I actually reached out to Todd Chrisley and I unlocked my Twitter for the first time in a year. Why? Well, at first I wanted to see if he was actually serious about this. If he was just selling wolf tickets and running his mouth, and I had no intention of being part of that. I tried to avoid without a box of Kleenex in every way, shape, or form. I don't even like talking about her. Only time I like talking about her is when something like yesterday happens, and then I'm like all gleeful and just he's highly amused by this stuff that was coming out of her mouth. She had a genuine Twitter meltdown yesterday. That was pretty interesting. So anyway, I did end up speaking to Todd Chrisley for a little while last night over Messenger on my Twitter. I don't think anything I had to say what will do any good in any lawsuit. I don't think it's any evidentiary support, even though she did write some Todd Chrisley pieces and did talk to me about Todd Chrisley a few times in those days. I think I'm kind of like, if I'm gonna have info, it's not gonna be earth shattering. It's just gonna be, hey, I worked with her, all these other people work with her, she had problems with this person was our editor. Um, yeah, she has no impulse control. It was almost entirely all Facebook Messenger. And when she would get obnoxious, and I'd block her for a while because I just didn't have the time or the inclination, she'd come right back with a new version of her name repeatedly. Locking her out was not even possible in those days. She used to just go crazy. She would attack various people. If I heard about Steve once, I heard about Steve dozens of times, and get to the point where I didn't even know. I can show I have screen caps of when we talked the last time, and she was talking about Steve, and I had to ask her who she was talking about because I was confused because she had mentioned so many different people were giving her death threats that it was just another one in this free floating sea of people. I just knew I didn't want to get involved with any of that. So that's the most of our correspondence were that way. Now I talked to Chrisley for a little while last night. That's where he got some of the names he was bantering about last night. Is he going to contact those people? I would hope so. I mean, they might be able to actually give more of an idea than I did. And I made sure I gave him names of people who no longer worked at Patheos so that they couldn't get in trouble with Patheos at all. Happy Tuesday, Amanda. So there's that. Um, so rather than waiting until I get a hostile subpoena and nastiness, it's just better to go ahead and say, yeah, I worked with her. Yeah, she talked trash about you and Steve. Yes, she was badly behaved. Yes, she got in trouble, than it is to wait. And I've been very open about what I know. So it's not like it's any big surprise. I have no big surprises here. It just is. It is what it is, as they say. Now, I do have to address JJ. Why? Because JJ used to come in my stream and try to start crap about the fact that I was not a Charlotte supporter and I was friendly with Real Entertainment News. As many of you know, I've not been a Charlotte fan for a long time because of all the sad fishing. The begging for money got to me. I know there's some that don't feel that she does that. That's fine. You can feel that way. For me, it just seemed like a grift. So I had no trouble denouncing her for that. Yeah, exactly, Lisa. Why is she constantly announcing her opinions on everybody and selling wolf tickets? She all the time does that. Like I'm talking about JJ now. I didn't sign. I didn't sound off on what I thought about JJ and Charlotte's recent live clearing the air. I did see it. I didn't think well of it, but I didn't run around and say, "Oh, JJ, you're running your mouth and you're lying," even though I was thinking that. So, I've seen JJ pop up in so many different streams. I've seen her pop up in Aaron's and bash Aaron. I've seen her pop up in Ren's. She's popped up in mine. Seems like every time I turned around, there was somebody that was even slightly not hostile to Ren or didn't like Charlotte. Here she comes. Well, I got up this morning and she had put a little comment on something I'd said where I said I thought that the clearing the air didn't clear the air at all. And she said by me tweeting at Chrisley that I was taking it real life. Did I not just explain myself? That is why I contacted, because eventually I'm going to be contacted. I did work with her. I tried to help her and be on the path and do things the Patheos way, and it did not work out. She did not fit well with our group. And I'm trying to nip in the bud anything that happened with Tati's lawsuit, where I had Emily D. Baker say, "Oh, you ought to depose her, even if she's unfriendly." And I had not even spoken one word or any of that. I had totally left all that alone. I don't like having to jump forward and say this crap. Lisa, I know you're talking about KJ. I should have made that more clear. The reason I'm talking about JJ is because she is the one that said that I was taking it real life. Providing information on a former coworker you know you're going to be subpoenaed and have to provide anyway is not taking it real life. And I don't like it. I would prefer to be able to do like Patheos and say, no comment, no comment. But at this point, hey, Dana, hey, Scarlett, I would rather just not have to deal with that at all. I would rather say, hey, I don't think this will help you, but here you go. And that's what I've done. I don't think that me telling him that she had a problem at Patheos and left is going to be a shocker to anybody, because we all know it. They pulled down all her content, so clearly she did not leave under good terms. Take with it what you will. If it helps him, hey, more power to him. Listening and doing chores. Dina, that's what I'm getting ready to have to do. I'm getting ready to have to dust today. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things after finding out my diagnosis and having trouble walking. I'm starting to get better at this stuff. I'm going to dust. I've got 2 gardens to weed this morning and a whole bunch of other crap to do. So I'm going to be forgetting about all of this and turning this whole thing off and do what I got to do in a few. But I did want to come on and talk about that and talk about my reasons for speaking with Chrisley. I've spoken with Steve McRae for quite a while. He already knows all this. He's suing her. I knew he was going to sue her. I'm hearing 2 or 3 others. I'm going to speak to anyone's a lawyer who wants me to get that. And on the good side, yeah, I am feeling better, Dina. I had to have my little ball baby crying moment over my diagnosis there for a while. And I was really down in the dumps. I got to tell you guys, even though I probably smiled and acted normal here, I was a hot ass mess there for a few days. My poor husband can tell you, I was just like drama. I still haven't told my mother. So there's that. I told an aunt yesterday. I'm finally starting to talk to people about it. I'm finally starting to say what happened to me. I had a thalamic stroke. When I had the MRI and the CT scan, they discovered I had old damage in my thalamus. They think I had a thalamic stroke in utero, and that my entire life, all of my health problems are related to the first thalamic stroke. So now it becomes a case of staying well. So there's it. Real life. I'm going to have to, Lisa. Ain't nobody else going to do it. You know, we had a lady living next door that was the housekeeper here. She did all the work before we bought the place. And then afterwards, we'd have her come in and do stuff. Now, she couldn't do some of the stuff like sweep and mop. She couldn't do that. Her back was bad. Clean windows. And I would do those things. She would come here, dust, and do the stuff that I'm really not supposed to do. I'm getting ready to dust, and I'm not supposed to because my asthma, but I do it anyway. COVID happened, and she went to Nicaragua to visit her family and never came back. I don't know. I don't know who's in her house. I don't know any of that. I just know she is not back. And there goes my housekeeper. Somebody recently criticized me for saying something about a maid. That's another thing they're called here. You look at my house, the extra room is called the maid's room. It said that on the sales paperwork too. So there's that. I would love to have somebody come in and clean, and I may have to hire someone soon. because this has definitely put a crimp on my style. I have a difficulty walking. I have a difficulty staying upright. I'm kind of like a weeble, wobbling and not falling. Well, hopefully not falling down. I've fallen down so many times, it's ridiculous. I need knee pads now. New here to comment. Hey, see Breeze. So there's that. And so I'm dealing with all of this, and all this is so I just want this to be a thing where, just be honest with people and be open. I think that really gets you in trouble if you aren't open about who you are and what you know and what you're doing. From about the 12th of July until this week, I have just been a basket case about the future prognosis is not super good for me. So it is what it is. Lisa, it makes perfect sense. When I found out, I was like, okay, that explains XYZ. And when I talked to my aunt, she said the same thing. It's like, well, no wonder. I was like, yeah, amazing, isn't it? Amazing. And they didn't pick it up on my first stroke, because I had a stroke 3 years ago, but it was one of those teeny tiny little mini strokes. This was not. This was more significant. So I got to figure out how to not have high blood pressure when I sleep. And I'm already on a high pressure VPAP machine, so I don't know how that's happening or any of that. So it just is what it is. I go day by day. I don't worry about any of this crap. I keep short forgiveness lists. There's very few people that I don't forgive. Without a box of Kleenex is probably on that I don't forgive her list. I tried to broker sure, go ahead, Seabreeze. I tried to broker a peace between the two of us, and it didn't happen. She attacked me and accused me of being part of the Steve McRae C word, that whole situation. I was kind of like, I'm friends with him, but I would not say that our community is a C word. But if she thinks it is, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Caffeine. I'm pouring the caffeine in this morning. So there we go. I was in a little town in Virginia. I was in Culpeper, Virginia. A place. It's quite beautiful and quite strange. I'm just going to say it. Amanda, I totally get that, because having had a thalamic stroke meant that I had crappy balance my entire life, to the point where my poor mother put me in ballet to try to fix that, and it didn't work. It did not. Oh, Roanoke. I love Roanoke. I've been down there quite a few times. And Chesterfield. Angela, I love Virginia. It's a beautiful place. My only problem with Culpeper was it was kind of funny. We moved there. It was this teeny tiny town, and then by the time we left, we had 2 Starbucks. We had all kinds of shopping. It was incredible compared to what it was before. I'd have to run to Charlottesville or Richmond to shop. I won't tell anybody. Hampton Roads. Oh, Lisa. Ooh, I really like the area you're in. I keep telling my husband, if we have to go back to the States, I want to be in the Hampton Roads, Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. I want to be there. Okay, it's not Costa Rica, but it is a beach, and it's one of my favorite places. I have heard of it too. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Nayeli. I hope I'm not mangling your name. They caught my first one while it was happening and airlifted me to the hospital. They took care of me, where the neurologist said, oh, it's a tiny one there. It was a teeniest little bleed. I have a bleeding disorder on top of all of this. So now I have to make sure my blood pressure stays down so that my bleeding disorder doesn't cause me to ooze blood in some weird place. And there's that. And when I was flying, I started oozing blood in crazy places again, like my nose, my mouth, and they didn't want to let me on the plane the second time. Oh, look like you. Oh, got a sleek new bob. That's because I was fiddling with my hair, is basically what I was doing. And I've had bobs in the past. I don't like having bobs. The problem that I have here is hairdressers. Hairdressers here are difficult. In fact, I have to laugh because we live on the Gold Coast of Costa Rica. It's a lot of things available here, but there's not a lot of shopping. There's not a lot of hairdressing. There's not a lot of nothing. It's Walmart or nothing. Yeah, I mean, Walmart and a couple other places. In the town I'm in, there's nothing. I worry about that. I worry about having a stroke when I'm driving or doing something important. It's gotten to the point where I have my husband drive a lot of the times when possible. I have to laugh. I got to ask him in a few minutes what he found out about our car. It took me some time to get to that. When I had the mast cell diagnosis, I realized I was going to have to stop coloring my hair, and I did. And I was crying the blues when that happened. But since then, I'm kind of like saying, why did I ever do that in the first place? I couldn't take any kind of outside chemicals. When my mast cell was first diagnosed, I was having a really, really super severe manifestation. And it was the sort of thing where I'd walk past somebody smoking a cigarette and be next minute I'd be poking myself with my EpiPen and going to the hospital. It got so bad that my insurance paid for some quite expensive treatments for me to have because I was ending up in the ER 3 to 4 times a week with anaphylaxis. So they figured it was cheaper to pay for the treatments than it was to um, keep paying for my treatments. So, and I wonder too if the treatments contributed to the strokes, because that is one of the side effects. And I was on them 8 years, which is unheard of. Most of the time you stop reacting to the med at the 2 to 5 year mark. It was 8 years for me. And one of the bad side effects is it increases your stroke risk and your heart attack risk. It really does. And gives you a 4% greater chance of having cancer. So I took that drug for 8 years. I don't know if it's this or what it is, but I just know that from now on I have to live my life differently, and I'm trying. And they put me on a whole bunch of different meds. Do they work? Who knows? We will see. We will see. And I do have a good announcement to make. I've been asked to be on a third documentary. I'm going to have my first meeting and possible filming at the end of the month. I'm excited. This one is about the Quiverful movement, and it is a production company out of Great Britain. I don't know what's going to happen with the other ones I was involved in, if I'll even end up on the cutting floor, but that's kind of the way it is. Yes, mast cell is. And the sad thing about my thalamic stroke is the doctor I had misdiagnosed me as possibly having MS. So he didn't try to push me to go to the neurologist. He said 6 months. He has now been let go from his job, that particular doctor, because it was a serious, serious misdiagnosis. I was supposed to have been airlifted again to San Jose, where they could have done a shot directly into my brain to either stop the bleeding or dissolve the clot, whichever one it was. And he failed to do that. So now I have numbness on the left side of my body, and I have no balance. And I'm going to have numbness and pain forever. They're saying that it's not going to be something that goes away. Sandra, thanks. I'm getting all these requests since I quit writing for NLQ, and I don't really know why, but I'm just going to go with them. I think I need to get the word out about how toxic all this crap is, and just go from there. You know, I'm pretty much willing to talk to anybody about anything except for JJ or KJ, the KJJJs. So there's that. I'm hoping that something comes of this. Who knows if it does or not? I'm going to try to stay well. I don't know how I can do that besides exercise, take my pills, and try a diet. I mean, that's about it. And speaking of which, I'm going to need to go because I have to go out there and weed those gardens and then hop in the pool because I'm going to be super red hot, I'm sure, after all of that. It's pretty warm here today. I'm watching my husband mow the lawn, and we have a broken down car we're going to have to deal with today. even dealing with that is difficult here. So you guys have a great day. It's a Tuesday. We're 2 days closer to the weekend than we were 2 days ago when we were still in the weekend. And that's always a good thing.